Hello, and welcome to Backseat Chats with Fisher and Grace. Our next poem is another Dylan Thomas poem titled Ears in the Turrets Here. This poem is very interesting, and it looks like it relates back to a dark time in the speaker's life. Very isolated time. He's full of solitude, doesn't have much contact with the outside world, and you can tell that because he goes and he talks about an island, like a desert island. Uh, Desert islands are often very isolated, uncontacted, and he has a conflict going on throughout the poem about whether he should stay or whether he should go. Some ships come and some sailors come, and it looks like they're trying to find him and bring them back, and he doesn't know where to go. And throughout the poem, his biggest conflict is he's asking about their hands. Do they hold poison or do they hold grapes? Do they bring death or gifts?
Okay, so do you think maybe he associates, he uses the apostrophe as addressing the hands rather than the person holding them? Do you think maybe he's just asking, like, maybe hands refer to, like, life, how life, like, will give you things, like the old expression, like, life gives you lemons? Do you think maybe he's addressing that, or it's actually a physical person?
No, very, very good point. I think I think he is making sort of a metaphor with that. One of his major things throughout the poem is uh, society. Society can give you a lot of things. You can learn a lot from society, and you can construct yourself and others in society. Or if you get caught up in society, it can kill you and poison you and make you unpure. Uh, in the first stanza, he talks about unseen strangers' eyes looking into this white house. And unseen strangers implies something unknown. You don't know what you're going to get, and a white house implicates something pure and unscathed, and he's worried about that. There's a lot of fulcrums in this poem. He starts out kind of unsure. Then in the second poem, or in the second stanza, he talks about himself. He talks about beyond this island bound and by a thin sea of flesh. I think that means like his literal skin. Talking about himself, like he's enclosed in his own skin, in a bone coast. Talking about his skull and the body enclosed in his own self, and the land lies out of sight. The land is the rest of society, and it's coming towards him in the ships. And no birds or flying fish can disturb the island's rest. But then there's another fulcrum. It goes in, and when the ships come, he seems almost excited, and he talks about running to the ships with the wind in his hair, and then it fulcrums again back, talking about the sailor, and he becomes very uneasy about about the sailor's intentions. And again, he becomes worried about the grapes or the poison in the hands of the sailors in society.
Okay, and I know, knowing Dylan Thomas' poetry, he is a very big fan of prepositional phrases to add description to his poems. Did you find a lot of them?
Oh yes, lots and lots of prepositional phrases of flesh, of sound, of mind, to the ships, in my hair, in this island. All throughout the poem, you see tons of them, and I think it creates a very descriptive, metaphorical kind of setting. It lets the reader envision in a literal sense, but it also helps see the metaphorical sense to what he's talking about. Because, first glance, it looks like he's talking about a crazy old hermit locked up away on an island, hesitant to go out. And when you think about the reality of that, of a person kind of clamored away in his own self, worried about the impurity of society and that corrupting him. It's very profound.
All right, lovely. Well, that has been Car Chats with
Backseat Chats.
Backseat Chats. Excuse me.
Signing